This is the Black TV Show podcast hosted by Miriam Temeskin. Welcome back to the podcast. I have a special guest co-host with me. I have Shani. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's, right now we're recording on a Monday, but it's a beautiful day. Just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
My name is Shani. I'm an after-school teacher. I'm from Chicago. I'm 28, and I'm really starting to sound like a Tinder profile. I love all things vintage. I grew up thinking that a lot of the stuff that I was watching and listening to was new. I have always had a love for old TV shows. I've always been interested in history, so maybe that's where my love for it stemmed. And Black history mainly. That's a thing that's really near and dear to my heart. So yeah, I'm full of shenanigans. I love to laugh. I love trivia. I love discussing things. I have so many loves for things. It's ridiculous.
Oh, that's amazing. You reached out to me on Instagram and you're like, I would love to come and discuss. And I was like, I'm down for that, because I need other voices.
Excited seeing your page. So I just learned that you can follow a hashtag.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Like, oh God. And I was just like, well, how long have I been able to do this? So I recently decided just to start developing my passions and actually immersing myself deeper than I already have. And so one thing that I've been wanting to do is try my hand at modeling. And I wanted to start reaching out to podcast hosts to just, join the fun. So when I saw Black TV Shows podcast, I literally screamed because I was like, yes, this is me. Let's do this. And when I saw the content that you were posting, and I think what really got me was the A Different World reunion special, because I had found out about it on Cree Summer's page. And I'm like, oh, they're bringing the gang back. Yes. And then when I saw that you covered the Cosby Show, and literally I had watched the Cosby Show, couldn't tell you how many times. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's do this. This is somebody who knows what she's talking about. I'm ready. So I decided to shoot my shot because Nike, and I'm glad that I did.
I'm glad you did too. Yeah, I always say to the listeners, the Cosby Show is my favorite show of all time. I have 6 out of the 8 seasons on DVD, so I could watch it whenever I want. I'm obsessed with the show. It really raised me. I'm an only child, so it taught me lessons. And were you too? You said?
Yeah. So I'm my mom's only child, and then my dad had 4, and I'm 3 out of 4.
Okay. Yeah, so I love the show, and that's why I love talking about it. And then, of course, A Different World. Like, I went to university, although I did not finish, but I went, and I loved it because I didn't have the Black experience. I went to a school that not mostly white, but they're mostly mixed diversity.
Okay.
But it was cool to see an all Black college. Like, I kind of wish I went to Howard University. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I went to these Black colleges. So I just love A Different World. I just love in general Black television shows. Like, my friends think I'm a little obsessed, maybe just because I'm not surrounded by a lot of Black people. But
yeah, some people could probably argue that I'm unhealthily obsessed, but I'm okay with that. A Different World actually encouraged me to attend an HBCU. Well, it wasn't the only thing. My mom attended an HBCU, and I made it a point to attend one as well. I went to Alabama State University. I did not finish there either, but I have plenty of friends and classmates who also attended HBCUs. And honestly, going to an HBCU had to be one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, because nobody is going to look out for you like you. Nobody's going to
Yeah.
have your back. And one thing about HBCUs, it's more than just the college experience. It's like, a lot of parents get upset when they hear college is more than books, but it literally is. I've built lifelong friendships at Alabama State. And those friendships, I got there in 2011. Those friendships have stood stronger than a lot of the friendships I've made in the earlier parts of my life. These friendships, my favorite part about it is everybody's so sprawled out. I have a lot of friends who live in the South, so I'm not seeing them every day, and we might not talk every day, but as soon as they call, I'm there. As soon as I call, they come running. If I say I need you, somebody is on a flight.
That's
And
amazing.
that's the thing about HBCUs. That's the beauty about it. Like, everybody is family. And you're supposed to, it's supposed to feel like home the minute you step on campus. And that's what Alabama State did for me. I got there and literally I didn't feel weird. Because normally I'm not really shy per se, but a lot of things make me hesitant. And so, and sometimes I get nervous. And when I get nervous, I start overthinking. And I overthink myself into I end up talking myself out of things when I overthink. And I tried doing that when I was there and I couldn't. It was just like, no, I think you'll be fine here.
Oh, that's
And
amazing.
what?
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I love these amazing shows, sitcoms, dramas, all in between. I have a question for you. What is
Okay.
your favorite Black TV show? It could be a sitcom, it could be a drama, it could be anything that's even airing right now. It's up to you. But what is your favorite?
I have to choose one.
Yeah, you you gotta choose one.
Ah,
I know
man.
it's hard.
Okay. My very favorite of all time. I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and say A Different World. Like, my top two have always been A Different World and Living Single.
Oh,
Um,
Living Single is amazing.
yeah, but Living Single, that's gonna have to be another episode because oh man, I identify very well with Living Single, but also with A Different World. With A Different World, I feel like I'm watching my cousins and my aunties on TV. Like, I feel like I'm just watching my family. Like, let me turn my family on real quick. That's how it feels.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have to say that A Different World is probably my top show. I got that first season on DVD when I was around 12. I got it as a birthday gift, and nobody could understand why I was as elated as I was.
Hmm.
Then, like, okay, I'm vested. Like, this is real life.
And then out of all the characters in the Black TV show universe, what would you say which character you would relate the most? It doesn't need to be from a different world, it could be from anything else.
Out of all the Black TV characters, who do I resonate with well? Oh man. I'm gonna go ahead and say, oh man, because there's so many, so many. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and say Khadijah James
And
from
why
Living.
is that?
She and I have very similar personalities as far as our mannerisms are concerned. From her style to the way that she communicates with her friends. She's the friend that kind of has her head on straight the most. Well, no, I'm not gonna say that. Not the most. But she's the heart of the friend group.
Yes, she is.
Like, it's a talk to Khadijah, and it's never a thought. It's just always, Let me talk to Khadijah. Whenever Regine encountered an issue, it was talk to Khadijah. Whenever Sinclair needed guidance, talk to Khadijah. Whenever Max needed somebody to talk her out of her crazy ideas, talk to Khadijah. And I'm that kind of friend. I have friends that call me to say, look, I need you to let me know whether or not I'm losing my mind. Or my friends will call me for advice. Sometimes I don't understand why, because I'm overly sarcastic. And sometimes I'm like, why do y'all call me? But a lot of my friends, I'm a go-to friend, and I love being a go-to friend. And I feel as though Khadijah and we just really relate. I'm a tomboy who will dress up. I'm not really a fan of dressing up
Me
unless I
neither.
really have to.
Yeah,
You know,
same.
if I have time to plan. So like if it's somebody's wedding, yeah, okay. But to just throw on a real fancy dress and get all gussied up, like why are we doing this? Is this a birthday? Like I'd rather be cute and comfortable. So when I say the way that Khadijah dresses, Khadijah can rock a baseball outfit with no makeup on and will stop traffic. And it's all in the stride of her walk. It's all in the way that she carries herself. She maintains a good level of sarcasm, and she's very witty. And I love wit. Like I love a good wisecrack. I love somebody who can use their vocabulary and confuse people. I don't know if that's like a weird thing, but like I'm one of those people that enjoys hearing things like I simply ascertained the entire meaning of your life and therefore I found it to be nothing. Like
yes.
word things, I just get really intrigued.
I know. Same.
And Khadijah is that type of person. She runs a magazine and therefore English had to be her class. I love English. I love literature. I like writing. I like a very well thought out idea. And clearly I love talking. So all of this wines.
Yes.
Know?
And then I'm assuming because I was gonna ask you this, but I feel like I already know the answer. I was gonna ask you what Black sitcom would you want the cast to reunite together, similarly to that HBO Max The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air had. I'm assuming it's Living Single at this point. I feel like it is.
You know, I would love for Living Single to come back, but at the same time, I really just need closure from how it ended.
Yeah.
Just like I need closure. Now, A Different World can come back because there's an episode of A Different World, and it's towards the end where Dwayne and Colonel Taylor, they calculated when Dwayne and Whitley's baby would be attending Hillman, and it was 2014. And I feel as though 2014 would have been the best time to bring it back. And now that we have people like Lena Waithe, who has the mind of an urban genius and who is really knowledgeable in A Different World and is really knowledgeable in the sociology of things. And she's very up to date on today's realities. I feel like she could take A Different World and shake it up.
For sure. Yeah. Her production company is called Hillman Grad. So
it is.
Yeah.
It is. And like for HBO Max, especially for like, I feel like she would keep the essence of A Different World and what it is, but also try to bring the reality of today, because college today is not like how it was back then. I don't care how many people try to say, oh, it's simple. No, it is not. Besides the fact that Freaknik doesn't exist anymore, besides the fact that, you know, Rodney King and all the political things that were taking place specifically back then, you know, it's different. And the reality is much different. I've had a conversation with a few friends about how before I turned 30, I've gone through a recession. I've gone through a global pandemic and some other stuff.
Yeah.
All before the age of 30. This stuff needs to be highlighted.
For
so
sure.
I feel like, that'll be a perfect show to come back.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to get into the actual episode. The Cosby Show Season 3, Episode 8, Vanessa's Rich. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, you there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to silence my phone. Well, yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Okay, so this episode aired November 13th in 1986. The synopsis for this episode is Vanessa mentions to a popular cheerleader the amount of money her mother paid for an art painting. Vanessa is then accepted onto the pep squad and starts being picked on for being rich. So we're going to talk about the actual main storyline, which is the whole situation with Vanessa.
Yes.
So we start off with, first of all, Rudy and Theo, they play checkers and, they're fighting, but, and Theo wins and, Rudy's a sore loser, but Vanessa comes in and she's trying to get them out basically. Cause, she wants the whole living room to herself with the two popular girls
from the pep squad.
Yeah. And, Cliff comes in, like they start fighting and then Cliff comes in and he's like, why do you need the whole living room? You have your own room.
Right. I don't know how Cliff and Claire did it with 5 kids. Because one is
I know I'm only one, and I know it's a lot. It's a handful.
0 is much better, but 1 is enough. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's great. And so. Vanessa was like, I need the living room. Like, these are the 2 most popular girls in school. And we need the space to write our cheers, right? And so finally, Cliff gets Theo and Rudy to leave. And at first, Cliff stays because he's like, I want to see these girls, And then when they come, like, he starts saying rhymes. I was like, I would not want a dad like that.
So embarrassing. He's the perfect embarrassing father because he does it in a comedic way. Mm-hmm. And I can see myself doing the same thing. Like, oh, you got your little friends from school coming through? Oh, the pep squad? Vanessa, she's my girl. If she can't do it, I'm going to give it a twirl. Hopefully I wouldn't say nothing like that. But I can just see it happening just because of the sarcastic side of me. My children are going to really get tired of me.
That's so funny. They'll love you though, no matter what.
Oh yeah, they have.
And so the 2 girls are there. We meet them. Their names are Paula Young and Cindy Stevensons. By the way, the person that's playing, I think, is it Paula Young? I think. She is Essence Atkins, and I love her in Smart Guy. I love her. She's amazing in Smart Guy.
They said they're rebooting that show too.
I know, but I liked the show how it was, and I don't know how they're gonna do it. So because there's certain reboots that I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna be good. And like, how do you put a genius now when they're in their 30s? You know what I mean? I don't know.
I feel the best way is to it might be TJ. It might either follow TJ. I see him in the position of like Mr. Feeney.
Okay.
Boy Meets World, or it could be following TJ's kid.
Yeah, if it's a genius, yeah.
Character. I can see like Marcus possibly taking over their dad's business. I can see Yvette growing up and having a family. It could be that Yvette has a family and she has the smart kid. Mm-hmm. The kid maybe clinged on to Uncle TJ.
Yeah.
I feel there are various ways of doing it. But the problem I have with our shows that have been canceled or like part of this reboot culture is there's no longevity in it. Mm-hmm. Like these shows had writers who were in it for the long haul. It just feels like now there's the cute idea of bringing it back, and then it's like, okay, it's back.
Yeah.
You know, because Fuller House.
Yeah, I didn't like
and
it. I didn't even watch
I
it. I love Full House, but I didn't watch the Fuller House.
but Fuller House was good for that one episode, and I was okay with just that one episode. It was good to see everybody is still around except, you know, Michelle. And even that little slight moment of shade that they threw at Michelle,
Mm-hmm.
I was okay with that. And y'all could have left it at that. Try to develop this storyline. It gets to a point where it starts to overlap and run together. And I guess that's probably what initially happened with the show. They couldn't develop the characters anymore, or they couldn't prolong the storyline anymore. And I understand that, but that's why, like, when you come back to the drawing board, it's a drawing board for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel as though, yeah, bring back the shows, but, you know, have intentions of longevity with it. Have, if you're trying to bring back the feelings that the show originally gave, go for what you know. Reach into your mind, reach into your talents, and even, you know, you might have to reach out to other people from other networks.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of people, they don't ask the viewers what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Find out from the viewers.
I know.
You know, see what they said. Now I understand that, you know, some viewers might not be as versed, or they might not be able to communicate well as far as like what it is that they might want, but it's worth a shot.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the episode. So we meet Paul Young and Cindy Stevens's. They are the captains of the prep squad. And Cliff leaves to go to his office, and the girls love like the house. And they notice there's a lot of like rich stuff there basically, and they ask about the painting. I forgot the name, but it was in the episode of the auction.
Let
But
me look it up. I'm gonna, because I used to know the name of it as well. And
And
I know.
I remember that it's something Wilson, is it? I think, but I heard that like that painting wasn't that famous until it got onto the episode, and that's when it became mainstream. Apparently, that's what I remember when I was covering that episode.
Wow.
Yeah. So thanks to the show, it really made that painting go like mainstream. And I saw on your post that you posted something about the turkey leg or something for that painting.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
saw-
Man. That was hilarious. I don't know who made it. I just happened to see it on Facebook, and it was so perfect. It was so perfect. For those who might not know, Turkey Leg Hut, it is a restaurant in Texas. I want to say it's in Houston, and they have enforced a new dress code, and they've gotten detailed with their dress code. Now, normally, from the outside looking in, what you can see at the Turkey Leg Hut is people are casually dressed down, or, you know, girls might wear some leggings and a cute top. The guys could get away with, you know, dressing freshly. You know, they can be in a polo and some shorts and maybe a pair of Jordans or something like that. And then like they have hookahs, and then, you know, drink large drinks. It's a fun vibe. And so now it's almost like they're trying to switch it up to make it like real steakhouse ish, and you're not a steakhouse. So the internet has been going crazy with the jokes on how they're going to show up at the Turkey Leg Hut. And so when they took that painting, which is really like, it's Southern Baptist, basically,
Mhm.
to say that you're showing up to something like the Turkey Leg Hut, like that is pure comedy. Pure comedy. And I just fell out when I saw it. I'm still trying to find this this painting.
It's called the Funeral Procession. I just don't know
Thank you.
I just don't know the
Yeah.
name of who actually painted it. But it was $11,000 for them to get it in the auction.
Yeah. Oh.
which is ridiculous because I when I was talking about that episode, I'm like, I would not pay 11,000 for a painting. Even if I was rich, I would use that money to travel or do something, but
You
not
know.
on a painting.
Yeah, you mentioned it's painted by Ellis Wilson. That's
There,
his name.
yes.
Yeah, $11,000. Yeah, I I mean, I've never been to an auction. I've seen auctions work that way, and I'm like, yeah, y'all rich, because not me. You wouldn't have gotten $1,000 out of me for a painting. You might have gotten a good 200,
That's reasonable.
but times 10, 20, no, I'm
Yeah.
good. Love. Like,
Yeah, and the girls were shocked. Like $11,000? Like I would be the same.
yeah, for real. Vanessa messed up in telling all of her business, but we'll get there in a minute.
Yeah. And so then Vanessa offers them, like, she'll show the house, and except for Theo's bedroom, because we know it's messy. But so she ends up showing the house to them. And then we cut to later on, Cliff is looking for the remote because no one wants to go to the TV to change channels. And I want to mention that at this moment in time, Claire is holding a newspaper, and actually the reason why she's holding that prop is because Felicia was pregnant at that time. The props that they
They
use
did a lot of things to hide that pregnancy.
later on in this episode, there's a whole huge teddy bear, which doesn't make any sense because we'll never see this teddy bear ever again. Like and
They,
who has this huge teddy bear?
yeah, and then like in the kitchen, like on their little island thing,
Yeah.
they built it higher. They did everything they could to try to hide this pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? I mean, I've never been on, primetime TV, so I, can't really speak for why they would hide a pregnancy this way. But yeah, I've noticed they did a lot of things to hide the pregnancy.
Yeah.
Really, really weird.
But the thing is, like, her character couldn't be pregnant again because that would just be weird to have a sixth child.
You know what? Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
They were trying to incorporate that. They even had an episode talking about, like, the possibility of Cliff and Claire
season 1. Yeah.
having another baby. So maybe that was the beginning of her actual pregnancy.
I don't.
That's her.
I think because she just got married in season 2, and then when in season 3 she decided to get pregnant. I guess.
Well, Mara, yes, makes sense. Okay.
And so Claire's telling Cliff, like, go get the remote, or is it go to the TV and change the channel. And he's like, I don't want to go back and forth, which makes sense. It makes sense. I agree with him. And even nowadays in this generation, where like literally it's like my TV, like if I want to change channels, I can't change it from my TV. Like it's through the cable provider. It's not like, how in the back in the day it was within the TV you could change it, but nowadays you can't do that.
Yeah, now everything is so external. Cliff and Claire will lose their mind today.
They would.
But besides the fact that you have to externally change the channel, you can talk into the remote. Mm-hmm. You have smart. I could just imagine them now, a smart TV. Well, I thought the smarts came from the people. Lord, oh man, they were already upper 40s, early 50s. And to now, if we cut to now, this is roughly 20 years, 30 years
30
later.
Years. Yeah.
They would lose it.
They would. And so finally Cliff finds the remotes, and they're like, at first there's a cookie channel that's Claire loves, but then he changes it to a drum clip, which actually was in season 1 when we first met Sandra. They had the same exact clip, or this, I guess, the sound. We didn't actually see the video, but the same drum, like the whole percussion stuff. So it was like a repeat from season 1, which was very weird to me. I just noticed that.
Yeah.
Just in continuity, just doesn't make any sense. But Claire does not like this like channel. She wants to go back to the cooking.
Okay.
and like he changes it for a minute, and then he changes it back, and it goes back and forth, and then eventually the remote stops working.
Yep. Oh, goodness gracious.
And Claire is happy. She's like, the remote is broke. Like she starts like singing a little song to it, which I love. And
Right. Y'all sing songy, and he's all like, "Can you not?"
yeah, and he's like trying to turn her off, but she can't go anywhere.
Right. He tried to mute her. She and I'm still here.
Yes. And so Cliff is like, well, I guess I'm going to the Jake's appliance store. Um,
Loved him. Thanks, Lord.
we'll actually be able to see Jake's store in like season 6, I think. But
Yeah. And,
throughout this series, they always talk about it.
yes, when his daughter Cookie married the Rappaport boy or got engaged to him, and it was that long beef. Yeah, this is a whole nother episode.
Yeah.
Shani, chill out, man.
And so basically Claire is saying like you're only allowed to go buy a basic remote control. You cannot get anything else. And he's like, yeah, like that's it. He's like, yeah. He's basically lying through his teeth.
Yes, and Claire got on the phone as soon as he left. Hello, Jake. Hi, this is Claire Huxtable, Cliff's wife. Now, my husband is coming down there today, and I want you to only sell him a basic television remote. Now, Jake, you know how my husband is when he gets down to your store. He will do everything in his power, but I need you to keep your willpower. Okay, Jake, thank you.
I love that. I love your impression was amazing.
I'm good for those.
Yes.
Just don't be surprised.
And so we cut to later on where Theo and Rudy are playing checkers. I feel like this whole checkers thing is like just to add more time for the episode. I feel like it's just like it's not, you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's like two storylines, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just a thing that they can waste time.
Yeah, and that's one thing I admire about like good TV writing too, because they recognize that it's essentially you have one house with everybody in it, and if you have about 7 people living in one house, it's not all going to be about one person. So I like that it shows the other facets of the other family members in the house. It tells me, life is going on. It's almost like it's like when you, let's say your mom tells you to clean the house, and then you clean the house to a point where, like at this point, the only other cleaning you can do is like start gutting the garage or something. And then your mom might find something small out of place, like, why is there a fork in the sink? Well, it's like, Mom, we're still living in the house. I just got done eating. So I like the fact that it shows that the house is actually running and it's actually fully functioning. Especially carrying on with this Rudy wants to play checkers with everybody situation. It shows that she keeps going at this. And
yeah,
Rudy is a kid. And as kids do, they will go all over the house. They will get whoever will listen. And hey, let's tell a joke. Oh, watch me do this simple twirl. Oh, let's play a game. Oh, let's watch TV. Oh, let's do this. Oh, let's do that. And still in keeping with time with the storyline of Vanessa, the time where Sandra and Denise are having the conversation with Theo, the whole house is still functioning. So yeah, I admired that.
Yeah. So they get interrupted, or well, Vanessa, there's a little basic talking about like she made it on the prep squad, but afterwards, Claire interrupts Theo because he left a note that he didn't write properly. So he goes to see Claire, which this is when we see the teddy bear, which just like I don't know what the deal is.
Again, they just doing anything. But yeah, and he wrote an illegible note, which foreshadowing because of his dyslexia that we find out about when he's in college. Mm-hmm. But yes, he blamed it on Rudy pulling his arm while he was trying to make the note, but he was going to say, yeah, Jake said that everything is okay. And then she's like, well, what's everything, Dad? And then we learn that Cliff is doing or behaving in the way that Claire would that Claire knew that he would, which is what prompted her to call Jake's place in the first place. And the way that he just came in, tried to act all smooth, like, oh no, I just went on down, got me my little basic remote, no problem. Now that Jake, that man was heckling me. I kept telling him all I wanted was a remote. I came here for the remote, and that's it. But no, you got everything on sale. No, he wanted to push this on me. And I told him, no, Jack, I got this. I'm getting this remote and I'm gonna walk on out of here. But then he realizes that he lied his way into a rabbit hole.
Yes, he did. And yeah, it just the fact that he says I end up going to a different store that the wife, or like he pretends to be someone else that went to
that woman and tell her I went to another store that my wife don't even know about, sir. Your neighborhood is this big, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody know you made a mention in one of these other episodes that you delivered most of the neighborhood. You delivered most of the children. Everybody knows you, Dr. Huxtable.
Yes, they do.
What do you mean you went to another store that don't nobody know about, sir? And then you're essentially where, like Greenwich Village? It's literally a village.
Mm-hmm.
You turn around and you see the whole thing.
Yeah. So that's the end of Act 1, and it goes into Act 2 where we see Vanessa come home from school. Clearly she did not have a good day. And Theo asked what happened. Like, did he play football? Which I love that.
She roughed up. As a mother, I probably would have been like, which one of these boys done beat on you?
Yes.
Because we're about to go down right now.
And Vanessa says she was in a fight, and he becomes excited about it, which is so weird because later on Cliff becomes excited about it too, which is like, it's just very weird. Which we end up in Vanessa's room, which just to mention, like in previous season she was in a different room. Now she's in Denise's room.
Right.
And so and then also I noticed and like there was an episode, I think this is in season 2, which was Vanessa's bad grade, where like the actual room, like when they were walking through the hallway, it was bent in that episode, but in this episode it was just straight and you just go into a door. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, what you mean? Yeah, it honestly
they kept changing it.
She's lived in that whole upstairs.
Yeah,
I think she's in every room except for Cliff and Claire and Theo.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, and one thing about TV shows too that I'm starting to notice, or not starting to notice, but I've been recently just making an observation that I've noticed these things, that storylines are not always consistent. And maybe I'm crazy for wanting like clear-cut consistency. If we backtrack a little bit and we talk about Cliff and Claire and their story, the main thing that we know is that he's probably a good 4 or 5 years older than Claire, and that they met.
I think a bit more, and also and then also the storyline about that they were in the same like high school and college.
Same high school, ma'am. If he's 4 or 5 years older than you, then he was not in high school when you were in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where did you meet this man? And then y'all know all these same people, and then the years get changed up, and oh Lord, it's a lot. But go ahead.
I've mentioned that it just doesn't make sense. Like they should have. I think let's say like they should have been at least 4 years apart, which eventually I think they've mentioned that, but it started off as if they went to college the same year together. Like, he chased her to Hillman.
Yes.
So
at first you get the impression that like they met at Hillman, and then you get the impression that, oh, well, he was a senior when I was a freshman. And then I want to know at what point, because they talk about how Cliff has gone to Claire's mom and promised everything to her if she would make Claire like go to the dance with him or something like that. But then they talk as if he's like 12 years old when this is happening. And if it is happening as a 12-year-old wanting to take a 7 or 8-year-old to a dance, we're not allowing
creepy.
that.
So
creepy. Then I'm talking about like a 15-year-old wanting to, like, still, like, we're talking creepy timelines here.
Yeah.
And oh goodness gracious, I would like to know why that is.
Same.
Maybe it's something that we were supposed to overlook. I don't know.
Maybe we're really dissecting this way too much.
Just a little too much.
And so we find out that Vanessa got in a fight on her first day of prep squad because they called her a rich girl. And Thea was like, what? You fought over that?
Right. Because initially when you hear that, you like, baby, do you know what the word rich means? You know that means that you got a lot of money. Now, if my child were to approach me and say, they call me rich girl, I would imagine that the fight began because you called them broke.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you little rich girl, you little broke girl. Yes, that's going to start a fight. But for you to be starting the fight because you were called rich, I don't understand that.
Yeah. So
now,
he said it like, this is stupid. Like, you fought over that.
Exactly.
And and Theo mentions that he would love to have been called a rich, like, I guess, man, especially in front of Maxine Kirkwood.
In front of Maxine Kirkwood. These names that of a lot of these women who we either get a small cameo from, or we just hear their names often, like Maxine Kirkwood, Lana Herman, who's that girl that he was getting the Gordon Gartrell for? Christine. It's another girl.
There's so many names.
Yeah. Oh man, because her face is the one who left him for Charlie somebody. Tanya.
Oh yes.
The one he got the diamondoid ring for. So like you hear these names.
By the way, Tanya, the woman that plays Tanya, her real name is Tanya. Do you know that? Yeah, it is. And she was actually in Living Single also, like for like an episode or something like that.
She played, yes. She was one of the friends. And was her name Tanya on there too?
I don't know, but I just know her real name is Tanya Wright.
Yeah, I think her name was Tanya. Yeah, because her husband, the character's husband's name was Joe. And that was with Regine and Heavy D. Rest in peace for Heavy D. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
And by the way, I have this theory for the Cosby Show. I don't know if it's the same with any other show. I have this theory. If they have a person that come on for like one episode, they will use their real name for the episode. Like, especially I remember for the Slumber Party, except for Alicia Keys, because Alicia Keys had a different name. But everyone else that was on that episode, they used their real like name. Like if you look at the credits. And then after that, I just noticed that a lot of the times they use the actor's real name as their character name. I don't know if it's just because they hired the person last minute. I have no idea.
That could be, with them being extras and stuff, maybe they got tired of just coming up with characters' names. But that brings me, that has me to thinking, Peter.
Yes, that's his real name.
Okay, wow. Because I remember hearing about his audition. I don't think it was supposed to last for long.
Yes.
I think it was only supposed to be for one episode.
And then he was so good at running.
With his real life shyness, and they incorporated his shyness into the show. So all that running around that he does, like when he runs out the door, or I was just going to say when he doesn't speak, but Peter has spoken.
Yes, he has.
Plenty of times on the show, but they said that he was really shy at his audition. They loved it. And there's an episode where he has a little brother, who eventually he comes back on the show around the time that Raven Simone comes on as a.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. The character's name is Jonathan.
Okay.
And I remember him because there's the episode where Denise is throwing a birthday party for Olivia, and she basically makes like all these vegan dishes or whatever. And one of them, I guess, is supposed to be one of the things she made was cookies. And so the boy went over to Cliff and said, "Have you had these cookies? they taste really bad. I thought this was a party." And then there's the episode where Cliff takes them to, I guess, what's supposed to be like a clown show.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And he asks him, "Hey, how's everything, on the home front?" And he's, same old, you know how it is. But he talked like a grown man. And at some point in the episode, the episode of Olivia's party, they played like talent show or something, and he sang "The Eye of the Tiger" and made me proud.
Oh,
I wonder how he's doing.
Same here. And so we're gonna get back to this. I love this. I love this. By the way, I just love you. You're bringing so much info that I don't know of, and I love that. And I love that the listeners are getting to hear this. So, but anyways, Vanessa says like I need to talk to Cliff and Claire, and Thea was like, why? Like, why do you need to talk to them? And her reason is because they're the reason why she's rich.
Yeah, I like that she came with the attitude of thinking like she had a whole leg to stand on. Because it's like, sweetheart, do you remember that your mother is an attorney? Do you realize that she chews people up and spit them out every day, especially for people who think they're about to gather her together the way you think you're about to do? Sweetheart, she does this for sport. You gonna go down to your mom and your daddy because you got an issue with them having money? Mm-hmm. Well, what would happen if he wasn't a doctor? And if she wasn't a lawyer? What if she would have stayed a housewife, like in episode 1?
Yeah.
And your dad was just a basic doctor, because it didn't say that he was really, or maybe it did. I don't remember them going into detail about him being an OBGYN. At first, it was just like, it was treated like he was fresh out of med school or something.
In episode 1, are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I know for the when they for when they were trying to get NBC or ABC or any of these other networks to get the show, it was actually originally pitched that like he was the plumber and like Claire would be the housewife, and then of course Mr. Cosby's wife Camille said no, mm-hmm. Put them as professionals. And so I know that story. But yeah, the pilot episode is just really weird, and I feel like I just don't want to talk about that. It's off, And
I'm so glad that they rose above that, because if they kept up with that motif, I don't think they would make it this long, or I don't think mm-hmm. they would be as legendary as they are. Oh, you see what a little decision making do for you? Goodness gracious. Yeah. But so it wasn't pointed out that he was an OBGYN. So what if you were stuck in that lifestyle? And what if your life was taking a turn for the different?
Yeah.
Or the different. Is that grammatically correct? But still, you're gonna approach your parents because they did well for themselves, and because they're able to provide for you because of what some kids do. But this is also, I have to remember that this is kid stuff. So
so anyways, Vanessa goes to the kitchen to because her parents just came back from the store. And first of all, I always have to mention this because it actually, like, I've noticed this now that I'm rewatching it, that mm-hmm. they have the shopping bags to cover Felicia's belly. Like, they purposely left, and then when she sits down, she puts it down.
I'm telling you, these people are clever. Mm-hmm. They are clever. Because who did that besides set designers?
Yeah.
Who? Man. This is why you stay in school, kids.
And so basically Claire was like, what happened to you? Like, what happened? And like she said, I was in a fight, and Cliff was like, did you win? Like, I was just like, what?
Yep. And he had this little grin on his face. It's really sinister. Did you win? Because also I think too, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of this or been told this, but like I kind of grew up where it was like if I got in a fight, not necessarily that I had to win, but well, no, I'm not gonna even say me specifically. Let's take me out of it because my mom never said this to me. But I've counterparts where they're like, you better whoop them because if you don't whoop whoever trying to whoop you, you're gonna get whooped when you get home. Mm-hmm. And so besides the fact that it would have just been a proud father moment to know that his daughter whooped two girls at the same time, it's still like oh, you didn't win? Well, you might want to go back and get your revenge.
Yeah.
I don't think you're done. You might want to go and handle your business.
And so basically she tells them the reason why she fought was because they called her a rich girl. And they both that clip where they both are just looking at her and be like, what? Are
you for real? Are you? They even had like okay, maybe I missed it. Let's run this back. You, beloved, dear heart, sweetheart, daughter of ours, pride and joy, got into a fight with two other girls because they called you rich. And she's like, yeah. And then she does this thing with kids that gets on my nerves because I encounter this more often than not with my kids. I have to pull the details out of them. Because she just kept flat out saying, they called me rich, so I knocked them out. She doesn't go through they have to, okay, why did they call you rich? What made this happen? Why are you so triggered at being called rich? And then when she finally comes out and pieces everything together, it's like, finally, girl, hey.
Yeah.
Now, to the heart or to the real part. You're not rich, baby.
Yeah, he's like, you're not rich. We are rich.
We are rich. You have nothing.
Yes.
I love how he says.
I love it. It's like, it's such an iconic clip, honestly.
Yes. She's not the only kid that he says that to. Yeah. And he says this every time. Your mother and I are rich. You have nothing. And then she's like, but nothing. Mm-hmm. You have nothing. Now, you messed up going around telling your business to these people just because you wanted to be popular. Yeah. Now, what did that get you? Where did that get you? On top of that, you are Vanessa's roughly like 11 in this episode?
Or is she? I think she's a bit older. I think it's 13 because I think she said she's in the 8th grade.
Okay, yeah, because this is like pre-Robert. Like Robert is about to come.
This is during Robert time, actually.
Okay, good. All right. Yeah. Right. So you are dealing with people your age who honestly, these kids are probably children of working class people. Mm-hmm. And I mean like working middle class people. So these are probably still children of people who have parents who might be caseworkers, who might be plumbers, who might be whatever it is. Their parents are working hard for their money, but they're still in the position that Vanessa is in. Meaning they might not be in the house as big as Vanessa's, but you stepping in the same Oxfords as Vanessa. Yeah. Y'all shopping at the same stores to get your dresses and your hair bows and everything else. Y'all probably still got the same hairdresser pressing your hair. Like, there's not much of a difference here. I guess maybe you're just noticing that you don't have things that are worth $11,000. You don't have things where, if your house got robbed, the police would have to do an extensive investigation. Yeah. But that means nothing because Vanessa's parents aren't working in a Fortune 500 company. Mm-hmm. You know, and I mean, like medicine, listen, medicine is up there, yes, but Vanessa, you're still living in the your community's not gated.
Yeah.
Y'all are walking to the same school. Like, baby, how much different did y'all think y'all were? But again, kid stuff, and I have to keep my mind in remembering that this is kid stuff.
It is, yeah. And you know, Claire mentions that they're not rich. You know, rich is when the money works for you, not when working for the money. And they work hard.
Talk about it, Claire. Talk about it.
It's amazing.
Because that also speaks to how you handle your money. And she didn't say this in the episode, but if she didn't have 5 kids to feed, yes, they would be rich.
Yes.
If they weren't,
especially in New York, in New York City.
New York, which is very much expensive. And I was reading some articles. I went down a rabbit hole. I was looking to see the address of the external house.
By the way, I've been there.
Yes, I heard the episode number. I got so jealous.
But the only thing is, it was under construction when I went, so it wasn't like the full like thing. But at least I got to see it.
I remember you saying that, and I have a friend who lives in New York. So I told her when I finally get to New York, I need to do some touristy stuff, and I need to go over to the house. And she's like, "Oh, okay, fine." But like you said, yeah, living in New York is not cheap at all. And in one of the episodes, and one of the articles I read, back then, rent was going for between $600 to $800, which not much of a difference today as far as prices are concerned. But $600 to $800 today will have you sleeping in your living room.
Yeah,
you'll have a studio paying that much, and that's with just heat included. Mm-hmm. The prices in Chicago, $600 to $800. That sounds about right. That honestly, depending on where you want to live in Chicago, sounds like a private room. And Vanessa, she's too young to understand, but it's like, yes, your parents are in a higher employment position, yes. So yes, it's easy to say I have a father who's a doctor and a mother who's a lawyer, but they have to allocate their finances to their house. You got bills, honey, and then we have a refrigerator that takes up a lot of energy. We have food that we have to eat because existence. We are paying for a Princeton education. We got another kid about to go to college. And the remainder of these children who are in my house, they need shoes, they need socks, they need clothes, they need their hair done. They still go to school. They want to join extracurricular activities. They have birthdays. They have Christmas. They grow. So there are a lot of factors that go into the money that you make. And so the fact that you're able to buy an $11,000 painting, first of all, it was a sacrifice because they didn't want to spend that much money either.
Yeah.
But also it shows, like, when you properly save, stuff like this can take place. Mm-hmm. Also, you're adding value, and one thing I like too is that they showed their kids that luxury is accessible. There were plenty of times where Cliff has just whisked Claire away, like, hey, let's go to this 5-star restaurant. Let's go to this 5-star hotel. Oh, we're going to Vermont for the weekend. The money for dinner is on the table. Don't use it all at once. even the clothes that they wore, the concerts that they've attended, they show that, you too can have this. If you open your mind, and if you just take the time to learn about some things, you never know what can come your way. You never know what you could involve yourself in. You never know what may come to you.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate the Cosby Show for the aesthetic that it is, and for what it portrayed. When they say representation matters, it really does.
It does.
Because the people who were watching this were hopefuls. The people who were watching this were kind of watching this like wow, we could have this kind of dynamic, but if only. I think a good chunk of the viewers, this was like a I could live this, but I'm not living this, and I don't know when I would be able to live this.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that somebody is able to live this. So let me live vicariously through this. It's really, really rewarding if you think about it.
It is. And, Cliff was like, because Vanessa keeps saying, like, I think we're just better off if we had not so much money. And Cliff was like, okay, if that's the case, give me back the $100,000 that we used on you.
And honey, that's the down payment. Because how much money did it cost for you to be born at the hospital? How much money did it cost for your mama to be laid up in there for about 2-3 days before she got kicked out? Let's talk about health insurance that hasn't even kicked in yet. Let's talk about how much it costs just for you to have one of those little beds that they put you in. Let's talk about how much it costs to even give you that little rattle that they send you home with. All the stuff that insurance is supposed to cover. It's a lot of talking that we can do about medical expenses alone. Run me that 100 G's. Let's do it.
And Vanessa mentions that like she can't go back to school because no one wants to be her friend and all that stuff. And Claire mentions that like the reason why these people are your friends is not because of the money, it's because of who she is. And which is such a great lesson, because who wants to be friends with someone that only wants you for your money? Like that's not a true friend. Because when you have no money, you will have no friends, basically.
Exactly. And on top, like, how would anyone know? Even if that was the case, like, people have to be informed about you being rich. They got to see you pulling up to school in a limo. They got to see a red carpet rolled out before you take a step. But it is a valuable lesson that Claire taught to Vanessa, because Vanessa is a very sweet girl. She's really kind-hearted, and if you pay attention to Vanessa and you see how her character is multifaceted, in the way that she operates with her family, and the way that she operates with her friends, the way that she handles herself, the way that she carries herself, the evolution of Vanessa altogether is a fun one to watch. She starts out as the annoying little sister who is like, I recognize that I'm not the baby, but I still feel like I'm the baby. The way that she was treating Rudy, she liked to act as if she was like Rudy's guiding light to life. Especially with this "can we get a dog" situation. The episode of the shower when like she got soap in Rudy's eyes, and she's like, I tried to get Rudy to bathe herself, and then I put the soap on my body, but it got in her hair, and then it got in her eye, and now she might be blind. If she is, can we get a dog? We go from that to her learning about herself and her coming into herself. Is it safe to say that she's the middle, or would Theo be the middle? Theo would be the middle.
Yeah, Theo's the middle. Yeah.
Okay. But you still see that she's still navigating her place in the family unit. And then it comes to the space where it's her and Rudy fighting back and forth all the time. And really, she's just like, look, I'm just trying to grow up, and you are giving me the flux with growing up. And also, she had to grow a little quicker because she started college earlier.
Yes.
She was 17 when she started college. The rest of her siblings did not do that.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, you got this kid in a big world trying to navigate herself. And then poor thing goes away to school for a year and then come back with a fiance. And then we have that drama.
Yeah.
And even before that drama, we got the big fun with the wretched. We got the lipsticks. We've got just her everyday living with Kara and with Janet Miser. That episode that Essence Atkins was also on, where they all got drunk at their friend's house. Like you just see so much of Vanessa. I want to say Vanessa is probably between Vanessa and Denise, they are probably the realest examples of everyday life with a kid. I would say, and yeah, each one of the Cosby kids stands out for their own reasons, and I think that's Vanessa's. She's the most relatable. I don't think there's a girl alive who cannot somehow relate to Vanessa. She's a gem.
She is. And, Claire mentions that, yes, you are rich, but not because of things, but because you have a family that loves you, which is so true.
That is so heartfelt. Because you're taught that it takes a village. And it does. It does take a village. And it depends on the kind of village that you have too. Because if you have a quality village, you're going to have quality poured into you. And the family that Vanessa has, that was a perfect moment to just recognize, one, that you have a family, and recognize the kind of family that you have. And it doesn't take money to make you feel rich, because ultimately people want to be rich because they feel like they'll be happy. They'll have the ultimate feeling of happiness, and money can, money can temporarily give you happiness, but you are not rich until you are fully at peace with life. When you feel like everything in your life is aligned, that's where the richness comes in. It's not about things. It's not about what you can get, what you can't get. It's not about who you know, what you know, none of that. As long as your mind and your heart agree, and as long as you have your own peace, and as long as you don't allow anything to disturb your peace, you've got your riches right there. Money ain't gonna mean nothing. Money is temporary, because as soon as you spend it, it's gone.
True.
Can't nobody take your family away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Can't nobody take love away from you. Nobody can take away your knowledge. Yeah. Pearls of wisdom from Claire. Cliff and Claire were always good for a pearl of wisdom, and it's something about wisdom from your mom
mm-hmm.
that really just hits different.
It does. Well, and of course, because they need to fill that 22-minute timeline. We get back that checkers conversation where Rudy tricks Cliff, and then afterwards where it's nighttime and they're in the bedroom and the whole remote situation comes back again.
Mm-hmm.
he gets another remote, so then they're fighting to change the channels, and basically that's the end of the episode. And this is a really good episode, honestly.
Yeah, and especially with Rudy and this checkers game. Because again, it carries out throughout the whole show.
From the beginning to end.
Like Rudy don't care about nothing else except for playing checkers. And this plan that her and Theo put together, Daddy, nobody will play checkers with me. And he's like, oh, what's this face? Sure, baby, I'll play with you. Theo could not be more obvious. Because he's, oh, what you doing? Oh, can I watch? Can you watch? The man just said to you that nobody wants to play with the baby. That was the opening for you to say, hey, Rudy, I'll play. Mm-hmm. But we all know that you're plotting and you are so obvious with this plot. But it's really cute the way that they did it, the way they set it up, especially with Rudy being so young still. Rudy learns a lot.
Yeah.
And in her growing up as well. From the perspective of being the youngest, I was the youngest out of my cousins until I had a younger cousin come around when I was 8. And just the thing that they say that like with families with siblings, by the time the youngest starts to grow up, the parents are tired. Mm-hmm. And that youngest sees everything that happens with everybody. And when it comes down to them, it's different. And Rudy has a very different perspective as well. That's why I said like each one of these characters are special and unique in their own way. And when you take the time to like watch and you're able to, debunk and break down everything, it's really amazing.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to, as I already mentioned, but Essen Atkins is in this episode as Paula Young as one of the guest stars. She's been in Smart Guy, Moesha, Half and Half, House of Pain, Are We There Yet? The TV show Marlon Ambitious, The First Wives Club. She's been acting like no tomorrow. And then the other actress who only has one credit, which is this credit, that played Paula Young. Or sorry, the other woman, her name is Anna Monet, and this is her only acting credit. So there's a lot of people like that came on the show that I feel like they were the person from the hood that they just brought in for one episode. So
yeah, what I've noticed too about these random people that have been, so just about everybody got some type of start on the Cosby Show. It's to the point where I've seen episodes and I'm like, oh man, you're that one girl from that other show. Mm-hmm. Or it's, oh, you were on here too. Oh man. It's really fun. I love it. This show, that's another thing about this show that I loved. How you highlighted so many people. Even Dwayne Wayne was on an episode before he was Dwayne Wayne. He was a friend of Theo's. Jaleesa wasn't on there. It was so many people. Now Alicia Keys wasn't really recognizable. You would have to actually sit down and stare. And for the listeners, she's the curly head tall kid who looks like a boy. Mm-hmm. But it's just so many people had an appearance. People of like historical figures. Miriam Makeba. Yes. Or Makeba, I'm sorry. Miriam Makeba. Not Muddy Waters. BB King.
A lot of people. Lena Horne.
Lena Horne.
And she was also on A Different World too.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Season 5?
I think it was the last season.
5? Okay.
I know because Jada, she said that I'm named after you.
Had to be named after you. They were in Hyde Hall. Yeah. Yes, that was very moving as well. Cosby know what he doing. I have to give him that.
Yeah. And I also want to mention that even though they were in the main credits, they weren't actually in this episode, which was Sabrina LaBeouf and Lisa Bonet, because of course they were in college, so that's why they didn't have them in this episode. And I always do like a lesson because I feel like we always learn from these shows. And,
Yeah,
you know, for me, I feel like the lesson for this episode is people will like you for who you are and not for the things you have. And I'm taking that from Claire Huxtable.
that's it. That is it. And if people can't love you for who you are, then you gotta let them go.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
no,
then the question I have for the listeners, and you can even answer this too, is
mhm.
have you ever complained about being too rich? Because I haven't.
No, my complaint has always been that I wasn't rich enough. um,
Same.
uh, but one thing that I appreciate in my upbringing is that my mom. So my mom, she was a single mom, and even when she didn't have it, I never knew.
Mm-hmm.
I was always in some type of activity. She always made it a point to keep me well rounded, even if it was something that I didn't want to do. And my mom really showed me where there's a will, there's a way. Even if it meant working a little overtime. We have a big family. My mom is one of 11. So, of course I had my family willing to help, or sometimes they would offer it up. They'd be, hey, I saw something posted for a dance class. You think Shani would be interested in it? Okay, I'm gonna pay for it. It's $50. Don't worry about it. Um, her friends. It, like I said, it's the village.
Mm-hmm.
It's the village, that the kind of village that you have, um, and the kind of village that I had always poured into me, and I'm that same way now. I'm a godmother of God knows how many. Um, I have friends with kids. I have younger cousins, and I really believe in paying it forward. I believe in honing in on skills. I believe in being the village. The Back then, the village had a real meaning, and it still does. The village is very much important, and I feel like, once you have the right village put together, you can't go wrong.
For sure. I want to say thank you for coming on to this podcast. You know, you're my first guest.
Thank you for
And
having. This was such a wonderful experience. I want to do another one.
we will we will do another one. Because
Yay!
I feel like I need more voice. Like I can't be the only one talking. Like I need other perspectives of, you know, because we're all different, you know.
Yes, absolutely. This is fun. I'm so glad that this exists, because this is this is what people need.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially like with the age groups that we're in now, like the upper 20s. Like, we are the last of the generation of people who were able to appreciate
Mm-hmm.
this, because the retention of today's generation is not the retention that we had.
Yeah.
Um, this was really, really fun, really enjoyable to do.
Yeah.
And I thank you for
Oh, sorry.
having me. Well, I'm sorry. I
Sorry.
thank you for having me on here. I'm so glad that I reached out to you, because I would probably just have been bored today.
Yeah.
I would have been bored, and I feel so full. I feel my heart is really full.
Shani, you want to tell your social media to the world so people could reach out to you?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at I love them 90s, capital I, capital L, capital T, 90. Um, my Instagram is damn girl, you know everybody. It's all phonetically spelled. I recently have joined the TikTok world. I have not uploaded anything, but if anybody wants to give any tutorials or anything, you can. It is at Shani Showbiz, SHANI SHOWBIZ. I don't know if do I have any other important socials? Yeah, my Facebook's a little too personal, so I'm not going to do that one. But yes, you can find me there. I'm full of shenanigans. Hopefully I make you laugh. I am beginning my vlog. I am beginning to do some content creation. So you can be on the lookout for that.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
amazing. I can't wait to watch your vlog.
absolutely. Maybe I could, you ain't that far. I could road trip and we could do something.
We'll see. I unfortunately I work in film and television, so I am right now in the middle of a film right now. So probably one day we will though.
All right, secure
Huh?
any means necessary.
Yes.
Secure the bag.
Yes. Oh, that's great to hear. And as I usually do, tell me answer the question as I said. Have you ever complained of being too rich? Use the hashtag Vanessa's Rich on Instagram and Twitter at Black TV Shows Pod. The next episode that's in the order of this would be the Cosby Show season 3, episode 9. Denisa gets a D, and I will all see you all on the next one.